And welcome to another episode of Philadelphia Eagles Talk with Geoff and Matt as we recap and provide some analysis on what our thoughts are from last night's second preseason game of the season versus the Patriots up in Boston, Gillette Stadium. So, I think we saw some general improvements, but before we dig into it too deeply, let's welcome in Matt, of course. Matt, do you have any opening thoughts about the game last night?
Well, hello, everybody. Clearly a different enthusiasm about this game. I mean, they looked so flat and so bad last week that at least it looked like they showed up to play a game here. So a lot of good things to talk about and fewer bad things. But, I do wish that they played the starters at least a little bit, because they're not going to touch the field now, not in the last game at all. And I agree with you on that subject of, like, you got to get them out and just feel the rhythm and get used to it so they don't risk having this, out of rhythm feel to the first 2 or 3 games that they're going to play that actually matter, right? Washington's been playing a lot of folks at the same time. A bunch of injuries have been accrued on their team. So I guess it's always going to be a 6 in one hand, half dozen in the other type argument. Like, okay, but I don't know. It's football. So you signed up to play the game. So I don't know. McKee looked much better. We'll get into that, I'm sure. So at least the practice, I mean, that's exactly the point. Like, McKee looked awful last week, and then this week he looked much better. So, like, why are we risking a week 1 loss? I wonder if in Sirianni's mind, if they played a Super Bowl contender in week 1, instead of the Commanders, like, I wonder if they would have given their starters some time, but I'm just not sure. The other side note before we get started is they waived Johnny Wilson yesterday.
Right. I did hear this.
Yep, he was not going to latch on to this Sean Mannion offense. He needs quick twitch kind of athletes, that he's looking for open space and short field, middle field range, and Johnny Wilson just kind of, with all the tight ends on the roster, he just kind of, there's no room for him. So that one makes sense. But hopefully the guy does well. Hopefully he goes to a team that knows how to use height. Maybe he'll sign with Tampa and you can get those fade catches in the corner, since they don't have Mike Evans. So other than that, I'm ready to roll with the breakdown.
All right. Well, I with in terms of the starters thing that's just always found puzzling, because I always got to go back to when they played their starters in the meaningless game at the end of that one season. So I'm like, you do that and you risk injury, and of course you lost AJ Brown, or he didn't play in a playoff game, and that's when Sidney Brown also tore his knee and was out for a whole season and a half. So you go and do that, but you won't play any starters at all for any length of time during the preseason, just for a series or two. But you go at the end of the season before the playoffs and put your starters in. So I mean, that part has always been interesting to me. But to your point, the start. I think I heard that Sirianni in first game of the season's unbeaten. So the Eagles have not lost their first game of the season. So that's what he's just going to point to and say, "Hey, I got our guys ready. We haven't lost first game of the year." And like you were saying, with pointing out Washington losing some starters already and some big ones. I think you mentioned on the last show that they lost Tunsil, right, for the season.
Most of the season. It looks like he might come back towards the end, but he's definitely not going to be there for the majority of the season.
Yeah, and he's obviously an important, probably their best offensive lineman, I would say. And he's pretty much done for the season. So, yeah. And there's been some other injuries. Some other guys have been put on the have been lost for the season across the league. I can't remember naming like super big names, but there's some other names out there that already tore ACLs and Achilles and whatever.
Tunsil's injury was also practice injury, so it wasn't even in a preseason game. So I don't know. We played sports growing up, and I always felt like until I get hit, I'm not really ready. So until the lights are shining bright for the first hit, I'd rather get hit before that. So
I agree, and I think the starters at the end of the day, they would probably want to be out there getting hit for the first time during preseason and getting used to game action and game speed before even if they've been 10-year veterans. You just like to knock a little rust off. I think there's a lot of truth to that. But anyway, it is what it is. They're not going to change their mind because of what Geoff and Matt say. But anyway, knock on wood, the Eagles have. I mean, going to say they've dodged injuries for the most part. That one guy got his bell rung at the beginning of the game yesterday, but he's like their 5th running back. So, I mean, hopefully, it sounds like he's going to be okay. But you don't want to see anybody get hurt. Starter, or he's just the 90th guy in the roster right now. But yeah, he got hurt. He got hurt pretty bad, but apparently he's going to be all right.
It was a heck of a hit. He just had his head down.
Yeah.
Guys got to tackle with their eyes up, looking through. He probably would have been fine if he just did that, but.
Yeah, he did Eric Lindros.
Yeah.
I don't know if you've watched those replays in a while. It's been a little while for me, but man, there's like a YouTube highlight of just
can't watch him
getting hammered by Stevens.
Can't watch him. The cringe.
And he never learned. He would still do the same thing. And I always say that it's almost like he was a victim of his own size, because he was always going all through his youth and all the levels of hockey before he reached the NHL, of being the biggest guy. Probably never even had to ever really learn to skate with his head up as often as he really needed to. And then when he got to the NHL, he was just an open target. Never saw half of these hits coming.
No. And half of the hits were from Scott Stevens. I'm telling you, Scott Stevens is like watching the movie Jaws. Like, he's out there, you're in the water, you're in your skates are in the water, sharks in the water. That's Scott Stevens. And I've never seen anybody be able to time bone-crushing, career-ending hits as well over and over and over as Scott Stevens has throughout his career. It's not he wouldn't even be able to play in today's NHL just because it's illegal. I mean, he's just
a big guy too. He's a big dude.
Yeah.
So yeah. Anyway, so all right. So let's just first of all not forget about me. So the Eagles ended up losing the game on a late rally by the Patriots. Again, the secondary is probably the thing that was my most concern coming out of this game. Secondary depth. Not our secondary in general, but secondary depth. I mean, both 2 of their touchdowns, the Patriots, were just bombs. One was 60-something. I think they were both like 60-something yard touchdowns. And those guys were just smoked, both of them. I don't remember their names. I don't think either one are going to be on a team, so I don't spend a ton of time on it. But point is, I don't know how much depth is behind our starting cornerbacks. What are your thoughts on that? Do you have any concern? I know it's just the preseason, but.
Well, they've been giving Mac McWilliams a ton of time. They've been giving Keely Ringo a ton of time, and then whoever else is on their level or behind them. I mean, Ja'Cory Bennett, it would have been nice to see what he would have been able to do, but he was hurt last week. I don't think he played this week.
Did McWilliams play yesterday? I don't remember seeing him.
Yeah, I think he was on the field early, first half.
Okay.
I think he's number 22, right?
He's 22 or 20. Yeah, he's like a low 20. Yeah.
Yeah, I think he was on the field. That they're just a bunch of guys. Nobody is proven. I'm like, where is Eli Ricks? Like, that guy would have stood out amongst this group of backups. So they must have let him go last season at some point.
That's a good question. Yeah.
But Eli Ricks would at least make a play or two. All you see Ringo doing out there is grabbing people and getting flags or getting burnt. So it's like he can't play cornerback.
Ringo has clearly showed this guy's never going to be a starting player.
Not a cornerback. Like,
no.
Seen
enough of him.
I would almost try to see if he could just catch the ball and turn him into a wide receiver, because he's got speed, he's got all the physical tools. He just can't. He's got zero awareness. But none of these other guys are establishing themselves outside of that either. So we'll see. What happens. I don't know. Like they did improve from last season, because we have not yet seen what it looks like when DeJean, Rick Woolen, and Quignon and Q are on the field at the same time. So it's like you just really need one more guy to kind of be the backup or stand in. But you'll see. I mean, a whole bunch of guys. I think this will be the movement that you'll see in another week when everyone starts releasing their players. I think Howie's going to make a bunch of changes here and not keep very many of those folks that are on the roster, and probably sign 1 or 2 guys that he knows can add depth.
Apparently, Ricks is still out there. Like, he's not. I just checked to see if he's on any current preseason roster, and it just says he's a former NFL player who used to play with Alabama.
Interesting.
last time he was on the Eagles practice squad. So I don't know.
Yeah, we'll see. I thought that guy could play with some excitement, and there doesn't seem any excitement on the defensive backs that are behind the starters here. So that's disappointing to see nobody develop.
Yeah, he's not anywhere.
Time.
If I was the Eagles, I'd call him back.
Yeah, I would make
Bring him
that. I
back
think
in.
it's going to be most active. But really, that's the weak
Yeah.
spot that they had last year, only it was in the starting position. So that's at least been covered. So we just need to keep those guys healthy. That's all.
Yeah, for sure. All right, well, let's get into the game a little bit, and let's start off with some stock up, okay, and then we'll go to stock down. So stock up, some players in the game that stood out to you in a positive way.
Hey, you've got stock down on your little flyer there. So why don't we start with stock
Oh
down?
yeah, let's start up with stock up.
Okay, there we go. Stock up.
That's what I do when I don't have my glasses on.
Just a test for those of you who are paying attention. Stock up. All right. You want to go first, or you want me to go first?
I'll go first. Stock up once again. Ty Robinson. I think they said he's got 3 sacks now in the last game. Between the last 2 games, he's got 3 sacks. I thought he looked good again. I think this guy is maybe finally starting to figure some things out. And as I texted you during the game yesterday, it's important for 2 reasons. One, depth this year, and more importantly, and more likely, depth for next season, because with the other contracts coming up for Q and Cooper, that's where the money's going to go. And they're not going to be able to afford a Jomo, especially if he has any type of year like he's had the last couple of years. They're not going to be able to keep him. So they're going to need a guy that's going to be able to rotate in and give a breather to, both Carter and, the D tackles. So I think it was a great sign. And this is a guy that they invested a 4th-round pick in, Ty Robinson, a pick that we both raved about. We thought it was a great pick. And, he's playing well against the run from what I saw yesterday as well. He was kind of stuffing the run in there too and getting some pressure on the quarterback. So my first stock up would be Ty Robinson.
Yeah, Ty has come on big time in the last 2 preseason games. And if you think about it, though, he doesn't get a lot of work during the season, of course, because he's got, studs in front of him, including Ojomo. So good for Ty to be taking on. I think this was really he's hitting his window of like, God, if he didn't prove something, he might have been right off of this roster. But good for him. I'll go with another player that starts with the letter T, and I'll go with Tanner McKee. Tanner McKee looked mostly like the old Tanner McKee. He was getting pressured, by the way, a lot. He didn't really have time to sit in the pocket. He did have a play late where he escaped out and hit the relief valve out there on the right to keep the chains moving, or at least get closer to getting a first down. I forgot who caught that pass, but the work between him and Steele, the running back, which is another stock up guy. But
I'm sure we'll be talking about him in a minute.
Yeah, we still haven't seen many deep balls yet. Tried.
No.
He threw the farthest passes that I've seen so far this season, and he had a couple in the second half of the game, right before they put in on that last drive before they switched to Cole Payton.
Which was odd to me.
Yeah, it was a little weird.
Why would they put him in for one drive at the very end? That was strange.
It felt weird, but I think maybe at that point it had become, all right, do we keep Dalton or Peyton on this roster? And, money-wise, it just makes 0 sense to do that. But I think they just wanted to give the young guy a chance at 2 minutes.
I guess. I just thought it was weird. I mean, I don't mind bringing in Peyton, but just to do it at that time, it just seemed strange.
McKee seemed to know much more solid in his head where to go with the ball and deliver the ball on time. And, I think if he's a guy that has close to 3 seconds to pass the ball, he's going to make the right choice and deliver the ball well. He also doesn't waste time with hitting those guys on the that are wide open, So, I mean, so many balls went out to the flat that were for positive plays. And if you're getting 10 to 12 yards per ball, then that's no different than throwing it, 12 to 15 yards over the middle. And, McKee can do it all. So definitely want to see McKee stay on the roster until somebody trades for him. So stock up for McKee.
Yeah, and, he ended up being 16 for 22 for 173 yards and 2 touchdowns, no picks. Meanwhile, Dalton, 3 for 10, 44 yards. Just I haven't seen anything. I know they said he had a great camp or a good camp at least to be in the mix for the number 2. Just that even never really made much sense for me. But the 2 preseason games, I haven't seen anything that makes me confident in Dalton yet. And then Peyton, on the other hand, he was 1 for 1 for 10 yards before he, got sacked and strip sacked and lost a fumble.
Yep.
I like Peyton. I like what I've seen from Peyton. That guy I think is worth holding on to. To me, it's like, it's not even, I don't know. There's one more preseason game, but unless Dalton goes out there next week and lights it up and looks ridiculously good, this is like a no-brainer call for me. Yep. I would cut or trade Dalton, and McKee obviously be number 2, and then Peyton will be your number 3. I think Peyton to stay on the team and be the number 3 guy, whatever, on the practice squad or whatnot.
The most exciting thing that we're going to watch next week will be Peyton playing quarterback.
Yeah, he's going to play a lot, I would think.
That'll be the most exciting thing, and it will. He brings excitement to the game. He definitely has a competitor's look in his eye, But and it's very interesting because it's like, not that people aren't competitors. Like if you were to look at Nick Foles, you wouldn't say he's necessarily got like a competitor's look in his eye. But if you look at Baker Mayfield, you can definitely see a competitor's look in his eye all the time, and
for sure
he has those eyes. So we'll see.
Yeah,
we'll see what he does next week. But definitely,
Foles was yeah. You said Nick Foles too, right? You were talking about Foles also.
Yeah. Just the look.
Yeah, like Foles doesn't have that demeanor. Like when you look, exactly what you're talking about is a good comparison between Baker and Foles. One of them just looks laid back. Foles being laid back, but he's super competitive.
Yep.
I mean, you would never question Nick Foles' competitiveness.
No.
And the same with Mayfield. He just wears it more on his sleeve. So yeah, that was a good. So then in the rushing game, Shipley looked good too. Again, 11 carries, 56 yards. His long run was 18 yards. Had a touchdown. The offensive line, they may not have been blocking that great for the depth yesterday because you were talking about McKee being under a lot of pressure. But I thought they run blocked pretty good for our backup guys. They were pushing that line forward a lot, especially when Shipley was in the game. And then Steele kind of stole the show yesterday, I think, overall. Just made some great plays. Just was like a playmaker out there for who's probably going to be our 4th running back, or at least the 3rd running back. I heard that.
He's a natural pass catcher, right? So, like, if you look – if you compare him to Kenneth Gainwell, who did pretty well here in Philadelphia before going to Pittsburgh, Steele is like Gainwell, only he's a bigger guy, a little bit faster dude. So I love this Steele pickup. Like he looks like a natural pass catcher, just no problem catching these balls and well thrown. One of the last ones that McKee threw to the right sideline to get him into the red zone, just perfect touch pass. He was scrambling out. He just put enough arc on it, and just Steele was able to run full speed right through the ball and keep going for about 15 yards, maybe even 20 yards on that play. So a lot to like about Steele. But I'll give the stock up to the O-line as well as far as the run game. The run game was awesome. And again, a little bit of proof of
run game looks really good.
I've been saying it all offseason. I'm like, if this offense is going to struggle, Mannion will have no problem running the ball 4 or 5 times on a drive, back to back to back to back until things settle. Because he seems to have the right idea about momentum, right? Which is Andy Reid, Nick Sirianni, they sometimes frustrate the hell out of you because you're like, why would you have destroyed the momentum right there? Just grind it out and mash these guys into the ground like they did the year they won the Super Bowl. And then when you need to throw it out there to AJ, who's no longer here, but you make the pass game complement the run game, but get the run game going first. Mannion's going to have no problem if there's any struggles just going, we're just going to run the ball maybe 35, 40 times. And with this line, those are the backups too. So it's like, man, good to see some mashers out there. So great job on the run game overall with the O-line and the running backs.
Yeah, and I agree. And the one element that I agree with your point as far as, basically you're saying pass off the run game. We use that as kind of like the fundamental base part of the offense is just running the ball, mashing. And then you have then open up the passing game.
Yep.
But this element that we have this year that we've never had is the play action pass because Hurts is going to be lining up right behind the center. So, and that's when the big plays can develop.
Hurts. This will be the big difference, by the way, between Hurts and McKee. McKee got really hot in the third quarter, blitz after blitz after blitz, just hitting the hot read, hot read, hot read, hot read. And that's where Hurts has struggled the most, probably, is like, why aren't you just tossing the ball to the hot read?
He doesn't do that. Yeah.
Forget
Hurts usually just holds on to it long and then will start running with the ball or doing one of his run to the sideline, try to haul down the field.
So I hope Hurts was paying attention to watch Tanner McKee hit every hot route yesterday in the third quarter as he was getting serious blitzes from the Patriots. So we'll see how that goes. Hurts is going to have the most growing pains, I think, out of anybody on this roster going forward. But anyways, stock up for the run game.
Yeah, and Steele. So Steele had 12 carries for 33 yards. So not all that great running the ball, but as a weapon out of the backfield, like you were just talking about, 6 catches for 84 yards and a touchdown. That's from a running back. That's pretty awesome. Darius Cooper, by the way, I didn't see him much in the second half. Did you? Did he just play the first half?
Yeah, I don't think he was out there much. I saw a lot more of Quez Watkins.
Yeah. I don't know if Cooper was out there much in the second half, but
Cooper
he looked pretty good.
Yeah,
when he was in there. 3 catches for 44 yards, and then I still never saw because I lost my Wi-Fi during the Covey interception. Was there an interception on a Covey play, or did he score? No, he scored a touchdown, right?
No, he scored a touchdown. So that was
that
the middle bubble screen, almost like a slot screen. Lots of guards and tackles moving out in front of him as the pass gets caught in a bunch of traffic, and Covey just found his way there, which is a brilliant.
That's the other thing. Screen passes. We haven't seen screen passes on the Eagles in.
Yeah.
Was it even before Sirianni? I haven't seen screen, and we've been screaming about screen passes in the last 2 or 3 years.
2 years.
Where are they?
Yeah, the last time we had a good screen pass game was Kellen Moore, and that won us the Super Bowl. So it's the 2 years since then that we're like, what are you doing? Take advantage of these guys. So that should be very helpful. We'll see. We'll see what happens. But that was a very, very effective use of Britton Covey. He's used to running with a bunch of guys all around him because he's the punt returner. But that was a very effective use. Very good throw by McKee. It was, Covey did the rest of it. It was literally like a 2-yard pass to Covey. And Covey really just let his blocks get in front and found his way to the end zone. It was really nicely done by Covey.
Yeah, he's good at doing that. Covey's a guy that could disappear between. He's so small, but he's good at it too. He's good at just kind of like, finding the little nooks and crannies and to get as many yards possible. He almost fumbled the ball. Well, he kind of did on that kickoff or the punt.
Definitely.
He's got good hands. I'm never concerned about his hands. I think he doesn't muff many punts.
No, that was the first one.
Yeah, that's the first one I can remember in a long time. And he was quick to jump on it too. So he's just a fast guy to get on it anyway. But all right. So I think that might anybody else for stock up. How about anybody on defense stock up? I'm trying to think off the top of my head.
Well, so Trotter had another good game. Trotter Jr.
Trot did, yeah. That's true.
Yep.
Yep.
And
We already mentioned Ty Robinson. So there's a couple guys that flash.
Trotter, Weru got his first sack as well. Their defense looks like they've got plenty of depth almost everywhere except for cornerback. I guess.
Except for corner.
Except for corner, they're deep. Yeah, they got some players.
Yeah. Yeah, I can't think anyone else really stood out on defense. You mentioned Trotter, Ty Robinson. I thought that guy, he never makes the team ever. He's been on the team for last 3 seasons, and he ends up being on the practice squad. What's that number 96 guy? Is it Gage or something like that? What's his last name?
I'm not sure. Yeah, he's a big dude, but
he's a tall guy. Yeah.
Hall.
Gage Hall. Is that his name? Gabe Hall? Maybe it's Gabe Hall.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was, making some plays out there. He is a big dude, but he never makes the team. He's always ends up being, on the practice squad or someone else's practice squad. But I thought he stood out a little bit. Saw Mooten with some good play.
I may have lost you here. You froze. One of us is going out on the signal. Let's see if we catch up. Did I lose you or did you lose me? Yeah. Let me bump out here.
Sure what happened to Matt. Hopefully he comes back now. I lost my Wi-Fi supply. That one just let not know about that.
There you are.
Here we go. Yeah, my Wi-Fi went down. I'm having issues with it lately. So yeah. All right. So I'm on my phone Wi-Fi, so it should be good now. All right. Anyway, I don't know if you heard me, but I was like, I need to
So I can't hear
re-sign back
you.
in, and we could start talking about stock down. I don't know if you
I
can't
can
hear
see
me.
you, but I can't hear you.
Can you hear me now? No. All right, let me.
Technical
I'm gonna
difficulties.
leave and come back.
Just punching out and back in. We'll see what happens.
All right, can you hear me now? Still can't hear me?
I can see you, but can't hear you. Let me punch back out and back in.
What the hell is going on here? I'm showing my mic is on. Sorry about this delay, folks. This is why this show is, even though it's recorded when you watch it, we shoot it live. So you guys can fast forward through this until we get back to our regularly scheduled programming. Well, while we're waiting for Matt, let me just remind you to like and subscribe to the program. And okay, can you hear me now?
Yep.
All right. I was just reminding everybody to make sure they like and subscribe. And so, Matt, let's go to stock down here, and we'll just get this off the screen.
Stock down.
Stock down. Got anybody to? What's your thoughts on anybody that did not impress you, other than maybe Dalton?
Well, on the defense, right? So the stock is down on every other cornerback that's not listed as a starter. It just seems like there's a lot of open guys, especially in the second half. Like after DeVito, the third string quarterback for the Patriots was hitting guys wide open in that second half, like blown coverages on the left, right side of the field, deep, middle, everything. Like just blown, like around repeated plays. So I don't know. Maybe that's part of missing, our defensive backs coach that's now coaching with the Cowboys, or we just don't have any talent back there. So that's got to be restocked a little bit. But like again, I think Howie will fill that from these off-season cast-offs from other teams. Maybe they'll pull back somebody that has played here before. We'll see. But nobody really impressed on that manner. I thought all the backup running backs did well. The line was pushing well. The defensive line was doing their job. It's really just those cornerbacks, and Andy Dalton are the stock downs.
Yeah, there's not a lot of stock down from the game except for the cornerbacks. They're terrible. 2 huge bombs, which Vic can't stand those type of plays. I mean, So you made a good point. Is it because they don't have a defensive back coach here anymore? I mean, you wonder if that's playing a role or not. Or that's just we have no talent back there depth wise. But Vic's whole defense is based on not giving up big plays like that. So to have two of them happen in the same game that were over 60 yards, he's got to be fuming. It's not going to be a good defensive war room meetings this week in the Eagles defensive back rooms. Because Vic's not happy at that performance. So yeah, we'll see how he makes a move. Because I mean, it's going to be. We were just talking about the depth that the Eagles have on D line. That they could be able to keep everybody on the roster, even, and maybe even some linebackers. You wonder if maybe they could just move one or two of those guys and maybe get somebody in for cornerback depth. See what happens. All right, so there's really not a lot to talk about stock down. So the next up is the Cincinnati Bengals at home for preseason game number 3. And I think we'll see, like you said, a lot of the third and fourth string guys, the ones that are like, on the cutting edge, meaning not the good cutting edge, but the cutting board, I guess is better.
The edge of the roster. Yeah.
Yeah, the guys that are just they need to have a good performance to stick around or not. So it's always an interesting game to watch. We'll probably see more Carson Steele too. Not that he's, because I don't know what they're going to do with the number 3 or 4 running back spots. I mean, obviously Barkley's on there. Shipley's going to make the team. Tank's on the team. So there's 3. So they're going to keep 4th, and if they do,
yeah, comes down to what can these guys do on special teams?
I guess Steele has really made a. Yeah. Was Steele on special teams? He probably was, right?
I imagine he was, because a lot of those guys are getting time there. But Steele looked like he could move pretty fast. So
yeah, he probably is. You just didn't see him.
Maybe he's the replacement for Keely Ringo if they decide to let Keely go. But
Keely, man, every time you see him out there, like you were talking about, he's got the frame, he's got the speed. He just can't play the position. It's just not good. And this is 4 years now, 4th year, 3rd year at least.
Yeah,
he's just not getting any better.
Maybe he'd be a better fit in like a different type of defense or something. I'm not sure. We'll see.
Yeah, maybe they could trade Ringo to a team that's got a different defense, like you were saying, and because he's got the attributes that you like. Maybe they could trade him and get another cornerback in his place. That might be a better fit. Whoops. Man, it would help if I was able to. What did I do? I got rid of the other ones. We don't have any breaking news, by the way. No breaking news.
The end of the show. Breaking news. So Von Miller was signed by the Cowboys. That's one last little bit that probably deserves some attention.
I did, yeah, that's true.
Doesn't really concern me because I feel like Von Miller is not anywhere near what he used to be. He might provide 1 or 2.
I guess that could be breaking news. I'm trying to get rid of this thing.
But I don't think I think Dallas might be hyped up about it, but I'm like, Von Miller doesn't really make me pause to consider, like, big deal. Like, we're gonna neutralize him.
He did get 9. I was surprised he even had 9 sacks last season. That's kind of a lot, but I don't know how much this guy has. He was a great player, no question. Is he going to help? Probably one of those guys that's always good because they got some good young, at least I don't know if they're good yet, but they got some young defensive guys that Dallas has drafted in recent years. And so maybe he's in there to be more of a mentor and teach him some tricks of the trade type thing. But if he had coming off 9 sacks, could he give him 5 or 6 sacks this year? Yeah, probably. It's probably not a bad pick for them or pickup, but I don't know if I'm worried about it necessarily. All right. Anything else around the league?
No, not any big news that I've heard of. So, let's see what happens. One more week, avoid the injuries. The other stock up would be, we had the one guy get his bell rung in the first play of the game, but I think his name is Jackson, right? Hopefully,
Jackson, yeah.
Hopefully he recovers well and is back in Philly, and then no more injuries. That's it.
Yeah, they'll have their first home game of the preseason next week. That game is in Philly against the Bengals, who, by the way, have been playing Burrow a little bit. They've had their starters out there for a series or two. So, again, it's not going to change. It's probably just a wasted breath to even talk about it because Sirianni's not going to change his mind. It's just the Eagles are never going to play their starters in the preseason. It's just the way they run things. And we'll see how they get off to a start in Washington. By the way, Johnny Flowers is itching to get on for the preview show. And I'm like, listen, man, we got at least a couple of weeks before we bring you on. But, Johnny is definitely going to be, for those of you familiar with the program, he's our Washington fan. We're going to bring him on and talk about the season opener. So he's anxious to talk about his Skins or his Commanders.
Yeah. Well, they got a lot of pressure on him coming into the season.
Yeah. Yep.
And a lot of distraction around the QB5 because he's taking on all of LSU.
Oh, yeah, because he's going – there's something going on with him in LSU or something.
Yeah.
Is it something about his number? Like he doesn't – like he wants his number retired or something? Is that what it is?
I think he wants all the copyrights for that number 5 jersey in LSU and wants the money from it and was convinced by agents to go pursue that. So he's making a big deal of it, and I'm like, well, that's great. Clearly your mind's not going to be on football, so good luck being in the cellar again, Commanders. And if that blows up, then Quinn is gone and everyone else is gone, and all you would have to do is thank your quarterback over there. See?
By the way, wasn't Joe Burrow also number 5 at LSU?
I'm not sure what number Burrow was. Was he 5 or was he 9?
Maybe he was 9. I don't know. Maybe I'll see if I can find out. But anyway, I'm like, if he was 5, I don't know. It just seems so silly to me.
How many LSU stars do you have? You got OBJ. You got tons of LSU stars.
Jamar Chase.
Amazing.
And then Jefferson.
You're going to make this argument for your jersey and then make your alma mater bankrupt because they don't have any numbers left to even give their players? What are we going to do? Talk about like triple-digit numbers? Like this is an insane thing. Yeah. And I'm like, it's so selfish. So I don't know. It sounds selfish and greedy to me. I'm not an agent. I'm not in the sports world. But, man, going into the season, I would wish my quarterback was focused on other things like winning a championship. So I think that's going to be a big, big deal for the Commanders next season.
Good call, by the way.
About that.
Good call by you. Burrow was number 9 at LSU. So he wasn't number 5. I was thinking he might have been number 5 also. But, yeah, it just seems so silly to me. But, yeah, that's a distraction that you don't need heading into the season. And I think Washington's already got enough problems than now the quarterback not being focused. So,
yeah,
we'll see. We'll see what all.
To me, it's a sign of weakness.
Here. All right, so Matt and I will be back after the. Yeah, Matt and I will be back after the Bengals game. Probably do a Sunday morning. Seems to be working out at least right now. And then it's on to the season. We're gonna have some guests on. Probably just have one round table. Get some of our friends of the show on and just do a little round table discussion entering into the season. And then, of course, we'll get into the normal preview post games as the season starts. And the preview game, like I just mentioned, we'll have Johnny Flowers on to talk about Commanders as we preview that opening game at home against Washington. So, Matt, any closing thoughts before we wrap this one up?
No, that's it. All talked out. Let's get on with the season.
All right, well, that fly, Eagles fly. Make sure you like and subscribe. We'll be back next week. And, Matt, take us out.
Go Birds.
Anyway, see you next time.